The Spurs versus OKC, Game 7. Bruh, how in the world did Chet Holmgren only score the lowest points ever in Game 7 NBA playoff history? Two shots? Was it two shots? Yeah. Two shots, 4 points.
Boy,
Bro, I'm not
scared.
I'm not I'm not saying that's why the Spurs won, right? But come on, man. Because right now I'm hearing news they talking about putting this guy on the trading block.
Man, you better do it because that boy's scared of Wimby. He every time he saw Wimby and he had the ball, he passed right out of that. I mean, he wanted no business with Mr. Wembanyama, and it's tough because he was runner up to Wimby in Defensive Player of the Year. He was All NBA third team, but when it mattered, he knew, and we knew, and the world knew that Wimby is just so much better than him. And it's one thing offensively because we know Wimby's still a work in progress, but when you watch those guys get into the lane and to do a complete U-turn, even SGA going for the game winner on to take the lead in the closing minutes with Wemby with 5 fouls, doing a U-turn. So it's like, look, man, a lot of guys in the league are scared of Wemby. Unfortunately, Chet had to play Wemby 12 times this year. And we all know. And at some point, Wemby, I think, is going to stop taking this matchup so seriously because at some point it's going to be like if LeBron was rivals with Darko Milicic or if Jordan was rivals with Sam Bowie. I mean, Wemby and Chet Holmgren are just on two different stratospheres. Chet is good. Wemby is great. Chet is scared. Wemby is not. And I think the proof's in the pudding by what we saw when those two are matched up against each other all 7 games.
Right. And listen, I was a little nervous, right? Because I forgot which I'm trying to remember which one it was, right? Who was that? Was that a year or 2 years ago? It was somebody that thought they were about to get MVP and ended up being somebody else, and they had this surprised look on their face. Oh man, who was that? But anyway, this time around, when they're about to announce the MVP, I said it better be Wemby and nobody else. Man, Matty, do you remember who was that? It was a couple years ago. Who was it? They thought they were about to win the MVP, and they gave it to somebody else, and they had this shot look on their face.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. I don't know. I remember that, but it was so obvious this year that it was Wemby.
That Wemby was going to get it.
And I mean, the impact is crazy. The offense is good, 24 points a game for the series. 22 in the ultimate, game 7 victory. But it's his defensive impact, man. They saw him in the lane and they turned. Even SGA, they backed out of the lane. I mean, we knew Wemby was going to be the MVP all the way. But you have to give a shout out to these other guys. Champagnie, 6 of 10, all 3-pointers, 20 points. Dylan Harper, some of the craziest contested jumpers you'll ever see. Stephon Castle, getting down to the rim and putting it up there strong. Although Stephon Castle almost cost us the game. People are going to forget it, because we won. But, man, my boy Castle loves coughing up that rock. It was good to have De'Aaron Fox managing the ball, managing the game. Keldon Johnson coming off the bench, giving us some big body minutes, and then, of course, making those 2 clutch 3-pointers in the third quarter. So Wemby's obviously the MVP, but when you look at how many guys in this game scored in double digits, how many Devin Vassell hitting 3-pointers and that final dunk just to let him know, you boys going home to Cancun.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to dunk it at the end either.
Man,
but he did.
He needed that. That was the whole league finally getting to exhale and say, oh, OKC's reign of terror is finally over. That was the most necessary last-minute dunk I've ever seen in my life. So when you look at how many guys were contributing, it's like, Wemby's the MVP, but these guys were all so great, and I love how we played together as a team.
But you know what, Matthew Vassell, man, he to me he was y'all dark horse. He was the one that hit plays when it mattered most. Not that everybody didn't do a good job, but when it seemed like, man, it was getting close or tight, and they believed in Vassell. They gave it to him, and it seemed like every time they needed to knock down a bucket, he would get it.
That boy Vassell is a Flametthrower. That boy's a flamethrower because every time he was throwing it at the rim, it was going in. And there were so many moments this series where we were up one, we were down one, we were up two, we were down two.
Yeah.
And Vassell would hit a 3-pointer to push it to a 2-possession game to put us in the lead. I mean, he was maybe our most consistent player for the series. And when you have two role players in Vassell and Champagnie that are like your fourth and fifth best players, but they're both averaging double digits in scoring and both shooting about 44% from the field, 38% from three, it's just so nice. So nice to have those reliable role players. Those guys could make a lot of money being a second or third option somewhere else. The fact that they're in San Antonio and, maybe they're not the first, maybe they're not the second, maybe they're not the third option. But when their number is called, them boys are some flamethrowers. Shout out to Vassell. Shout out to Champagnie. Draining threes and playing defense, man. You got to love it. That's Spurs basketball. Hey, I told you all series long, we sending them boys home. We loading up the OKC pack. We sending them home. And sure enough, Sean, the reign of terror is over. Flop City has finally been defeated. But you know what? I've been hating on them for flopping all series. I got to say, I loved SGA's post-game press conference. I mean, he's just such a real dude. He gives thoughtful answers to the media, like when so many people would have just gave one word and then shut down and wouldn't have answered. It's so interesting because I've just been hating on him the whole series because I really don't like the flopping. But when you watch how he played game 7, I mean, he was a total dog, man. Like, he hit some crazy shots. He wasn't flopping at all. He was hitting threes.
And what did he have, like 35 points too or
35,
something like that?
and he was on 3 levels. He had that big dunk. He had the mid-range. He had the three-point ball going. He was doing a little bit of everything. Then, tough loss, but he still came out to the media, answered the questions, did it in a thoughtful manner. And so shout out SGA, man. That's a superstar for sure.
Hey, listen, Chet needs to go. That's all I know. Chet needs to go.
I think there's going to be an arms race this summer for one Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know I'm saying his name a little slightly off. I can Antetokounmpo. There's going to be an arms race for Giannis because everybody now, nobody expected Wemby to be here by year 3. Right. Nobody expected Wemby to be like this. Yeah. So I think people, whether it's true or not, the executives in the league are going to think there's one person in the league that if he's not a Wemby stopper, he's a Wemby slower. But if he's not a Wemby slower, he can go bucket for bucket with him. And that's Giannis, man. I think everybody knows that Giannis is unhappy in Milwaukee. Everybody knows he wants out. There's going to be so many teams that think they're going to contenders that are going to think they're one Giannis away from hoisting that chip because they need somebody to go head-to-head with Giannis, with Wemby. It can't be Joel Embiid because we know he's not going to stay on the court.
Yeah.
We know he's not going to stay on the court, so I think it's going to be Giannis. And if you're OKC, you got a lot of picks. You got Chet, you got McCain. I mean, you could lose some players that really maybe aren't in your long-term big picture.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're OKC and you say you turn Chet, McCain, and 2 first-round picks into Giannis, you still got plenty of firepower. So I think there's going to be an arms race for Giannis, and I think OKC is going to be a buyer in that arms race. I think they're going to try to look to get Giannis, man.